Hi, I'm Lena Miculek here in Poland with Shooters Global to release one of their latest products, the Pulse. I have it mounted on my cross rifle here because we're going to train long range. The main focus of today is going to be building stable shooting positions. I'm not gonna lie to you, I am newer to long range, and this right here has been one of the absolute key focuses of my training and as I dive into a fun new sport. So what does the Pulse do exactly? Not only is it an LED screened level, but I have mine set to stability mode. And what's really cool is on the app here, you can set what your acceptable stability zone is. I have mine set to 1 MOA, but you can change it out, and especially if you're new completely to the sport, I would go with a wider MOA until you can work your way down. But I'm going to leave it there on that setting for me today. I'm going to keep it pretty simple but super effective as always with my training, working off of a simple ladder that is definitely going to challenge us from kneeling to squatted to a little bit of work off of the upper rails. And our Pulse is going to show us along the way if we're able to maintain and build that solid shooting position. So let's hop into the different supported positions we'll be working on today, and I'll tell you exactly what my goal is to build the best one possible.
Brought to you by Shooters Global. We created the advanced training system and next-gen shot timers to help you progress faster.
Before I start dry firing these different shooting positions and explaining what exactly the techniques are that we're trying to do, we need to quickly set our Pulse into stability mode, and it's super easy. Are you ready? We're going to hold down the button for 1 second until it blinks, and now we're in stability mode. So when my gun is in the acceptable position, the light will go green and I'm ready to go. Now that we've got our Pulse set to stability mode, we can start working on our actual shooting position and the building of them. Now, whenever we are looking at a prop, first we got to take into consideration how stable it is. This ladder is not very stable, so we're really going to have to rely on ourselves to bring that stability. Now, I'm going to start pretty low here on this little ladder because I think that this is going to be the best option for a low reverse kneeling. Reverse kneeling is always going to be a go-to of mine, and what I'm looking for is that dominant knee up. So I'm a right-handed shooter, so I want my right knee up, and I do this so that I can get contact with this dominant arm, whether it be my elbow or in this case my shoulder. The more of me I can have in contact with the ground, this prop, and especially myself, the more stability I'll find. I have my feet quite wide. I have my non-dominant one I am sitting on quite flat to bring me closer to the ground, and now I can bring the gun back into my shoulder, and I'm pretty much always going to stay an arm's length away from my prop. I don't want to be too close because then my 2 points of main contact, the gun to the ladder and to my shoulder, are closer together, so it's less stable. I want to bring those out as far as I comfortably can to, guess what? More stability. That's what we're all about in long range. So here we go. I've got a pretty solid position. I'm clamping my hand on the rail and the ladder, and we are green on our Pulse, so we have found stability. Now, if you're giving reverse kneeling a try and it's not bringing you the stability that you need, please play around with pushing your arm further forward or bringing your weight further back. Or another great option is to see if you can raise up, same reverse kneeling, but totally different. Now I'm sitting on my toes. I'm gonna bring my upper body a lot more upright, and now instead of my shoulder being in contact with my knee, I have my elbow in contact. And this is also another fantastic reverse kneeling option. And that's how I would shoot off of both of these lower rungs. Let's move our way up our ladder and see what other challenges we can find. And this one, although it's quite an awkward height, I finally get the benefit of a bag, which is so nice. All of these lower rungs are yet again another challenge because there is no nice grippy bag. So for this height, what I'm going to do is really widen my stance because it's too tall for me to be on my knees and it's quite short for standing. So I'm going to need to get real wide. I want my legs to be locked and I really want to try and keep my bone structure stacked. So I don't want any big leans out or big leans forward. I really want to keep my hips in line and just bend at the waist. I'm once again going to try and keep that arm's distance from my barricade to make sure my 2 points of contact are as far apart as possible. And this would be my standing. And we have a green light, so we're good to go. You just have to accept that on this position, it's going to be way more wobbly than any of the other ones because you've lost your elbow support by not being able to reach a knee. But that's the challenge of it. Now we're going to move into a shooting position that's much more seen in the action shooting world or carbine shooting, but I want you to become the most dynamic badass on the range. So we're going to throw in a little bit of non-traditional long range here. So we're going to work off of the outside rungs of our ladder so that we actually have to clamp onto it. So what I'm going to do is place this big old rail on my middle finger and my thumb, which allows me to grab it with my pointer finger and more importantly, grip on to this ladder. So another way to do it is to hold on to your prop and then put your gun there. Now you have a nice little shelf and we once again want to stay that arm's distance away from our prop so that we have our 2 points of contact. Yep, you guessed it, as far apart as we can get them. Now I'm going to stay at a nice standing position. No need to get low or to be totally upright. Just nice feet a little bit wider than shoulders width apart. And right here is going to be my clamped position. This will be the hardest out of all of these, but it's definitely one that has come in handy more times than not. So we found our 4 shooting positions: low kneeling, high kneeling, this really awkward in between, and off the side with a clamp. So that's going to be the drill. I'm going to work my way from the bottom to the top, really focusing on stability, making sure that I am in the green before I start. Another thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my drills app, I'm going to go to free shooting, and I have it connected to my pulse. So I'm also going to video this training and have all of the information overlaid so that later on I can review it, understand how much my muzzle really was moving, and reconfirm that every position that I built was exactly what I'm looking for. So let me get that set up and we'll hop into it. All right, all right. I've got my mag here, and remember, for safety's sake, when I'm moving in between each of these rungs or from one position to the next, I'm always going to do it with a bolt open or the safety on. So let's get loaded up, take a deep breath, and channel some accurate shots, starting from the bottom, working our way up. Let's give it a go. Whew. Shooter's ready. I am. And go. There we go. Woo! So let's talk about it. Now, I was super diligent in my bottom rungs, in my kneeling. I did excellent up here, and then I got into the top and I was like, ooh, I want to go faster. And you know what I didn't do? I did not wait for my green light. That thing was red saying, you are so unstable, and I pulled the shot right off the edge, which is why we train and why we have such an awesome support and training aid on our gun. There's no question about what I can do next time to make it better. It's be patient, make sure I have my green light before I send a round downrange. Now, working from the bottom up was fun, but next up I would work from the top to the bottom. And if you have a ladder of your own, every single rung inside out is a training option and an opportunity to find the best and most stable shooting position that you can. So bring your ladder, your long range, and your pulse to the range, and I guarantee you that you'll see huge improvements if you stick with it. So I just ran through the drill. Another great option is to run that whole drill in reverse, starting from the top and working your way down. And I still skipped some rungs, and I could have totally shot off of the sides here. So know that a ladder is the cheapest and most diverse shooting platform that you can learn to build a stable shooting position off of. Now I'm gonna go in here and review my footage from me running the drill and see how I can further improve. So let's see what we have going on here. In the first shooting position, I am very proud of myself for making sure that my stance is super wide and I have a good shoulder to knee connection. I was really trying to focus on my breathing, moving in between the rungs. The next kneeling position, much higher up, good elbow connection, same distance on my support hand arm. And in the squatted one, this is where I kind of had to be a lot more patient, really check to make sure I had that green light before I pulled the trigger, because it is a lot more wobbly. But that one went well, and I moved up to the standing, which was by far the most wobbly position, waited for my green light, and another hit on target. So all in all, I really liked what I saw there. The only thing I'd do next is, if I got the bullets, I'd run it in reverse from top to bottom, and then further challenge myself on more rungs. But with the pulse on here, know that everything is a possible shooting position, and you don't actually even need to live fire to make sure that you're understanding how to do so. So pull out that chair, try and see if your footstool makes a good shooting position, put your pulse on your rifle, and get out there so you can shoot some awesome long range. And make sure you video it, because this video is so essential, especially if you're the person shooting and the coach. You know, we don't all have coaches, but right here you can learn a whole lot. So that's a wrap on this drill. Remember, bring your ladder out to the range, see how these different and dynamic shooting positions work out for you, slap on that pulse to make sure that you know that you're building the best and most stable shooting position, and I hope to see you out on the long range.